Hello, my name is Jürgen Rinelli and I am a senior software consultant. Today I'm going to show you the Vulnerability Manager Plus from ManageEngine. Have fun! We're here in the Vulnerability Manager Plus console. And yeah, Vulnerability Manager Plus, some basics. You can have it as an on-prem or a cloud version, and the console is through, you can access it through the browser. You can use barely every browser. I won't use Internet Explorer anymore. With the on-prem edition, you will get a PostgreSQL database. It is good for about 10,000 devices plus, and you always can migrate to a MS SQL database, but this is a one-way. So I recommend testing with the PostgreSQL prior migration to the MS SQL. You cannot go back. That's what I want to say with it. All right, some other basics. Let's go to the admin tab. We do have a ability to use a third-party certificate for the secure communication. We as well can add a secure gateway server within the DM set. That would mean that you won't need to expose your server to the internet. We can maintain and update clients even if they are roaming outside somewhere. Those home office users and such communications what are not established with a VPN channel. Right, what's next? User administration. The console can be accessed, of course, from technicians, from users. You can add domains and workgroups, and if you have added a domain, you can use a domain Active Directory authentication. You just select your domain you want to use, you select, you search your user, you give that user a role, auditor, guest, patch manager, reporting, or such. And you even can address this technician to a specific remote office. So this technician will only be able to work with all the clients within the remote office. And remote office is a distant location, an office in another town or whatever, in another country. And there you even can install a distribution server. That's not a server OS. It's just a component naming distribution server, and it will be serving as a repository for you. So in that location, every agent there will get their patches from that local repository. Next is roles. We have a role builder within here, so you can add your configure your own roles. It is of course limited. There's not a lot you can configure. It's the vulnerability manager, not the endpoint central suite with a bunch of more capabilities. As well, we do have a secure authentication with email or authenticator app. You can use literally every authenticator app. It is just there's just some samples of it, and of course you can configure to save the OTP within the browser for a certain amount of days. This is a test environment here. I do have that 180 days, but in a productive environment, I love to see, and I strongly recommend having a 1 in there. All right. So I'll go back to email, and user account policy, you can configure that too. Invalid login attempts and how many and how long should be a logout duration and such things. And there is a password policy as well, applying only, of course, to the local users, technicians you add here. Within the user administration, we said we can say choose between Active Directory authentication and local authentication. The password policy will apply only to the local authentication. All right, what else do we have? We can have a default domain set for authentication. That means if you have a local administrator account too there for safety reasons or whatever, you want every user not to click and search and select within the login dialog to the domain again. So you can choose to have the domain selected default. Right, that's about the user administration. What else do we have? Database settings. Within the database settings, you can set a backup routine for all your databases. You can set a specific backup directory, and of course there is a password you have to set for the backup of the database. And I would recommend giving a notification for database backup fails. Enter here your email address. So if something is going wrong here, you get notified. Right, what else do we have? We have the, within the database backup, back again, database optimization. So if you have a local installation, an on-prem version, what you can even install on a hybrid system on a cloud server, that's not an issue at all. It's easy done. So you can give your SQL database, your PostgreSQL database in this case, more than the 4 GB it allocates on its own. So in case you have more RAM free installed on your system, you could give it a bit more. Okay, fine. What else do we have in the administration? We have here some integrations, Service Desk Plus, and we have a lot of API for integration of other systems too. Let's go back, and there are export settings as well. I would strongly recommend setting them up because here you can give the technicians the ability to decide whether they want to mask or remove personal informations or even retain them in exports, in the reports. Nearly everything you can export with PDF, CSV, or as an Excel file. So to be GDPR compliant, configure these export settings accordingly. What else do we have? Let's remain here. Patch settings. What can we patch with Vulnerability Manager Plus? We can patch Windows, so all the OS. You do not need the Visos anymore. The Microsoft Update server. The third-party updates you can patch here, drivers and BIOS. Drivers and BIOS from the Enterprise Edition onwards. Mac, of course, as well, and Linux as well. As you see, we can manage Windows, Mac, and Linux systems. Within Linux, there are a lot of flavors you can manage, so there's a big list of it. So now let's go through the product. I have it set up in English. You always can set up here through the personalized button into another language if you have the multi-language pack. So it will be always delivered with English, but if you want to have other languages, you would need the multi-language pack. We do have, in the Home tab, we do have a lot of dashboards. those dashboards are not configurable. You cannot remove them or add any other dashboards widgets you would want. But everything in here is linked. So if you want to see a severity, let's say publish date, vulnerability age, yeah, let's click here, that one, and then you always get immediately directed there where is the threat, what you want to see. So there are a lot of dashboards in here, and there is the security configurations dashboard, the systems dashboard, patches dashboard, yeah, and network devices. I do not have a lot in here, so it's a test environment. We will see that later. Yeah, let's move on to the threats. No, patches. Let's do that first. In order to get the agents out, yeah, let's go here. How should we get the agents installed on the systems? That's done through the Computers tab. You can select a domain or a work group and select your computers, go in here, next, and then give them already into the local office. That's always the main office where the server is, and or give it to a remote office as well. All right, that's the push. But there are other ways. So get the agent installation through the GPOs, remote installation, or the other methods like SCCM or imaging, AVS instances. And everything has learn how buttons. So use them. There is a learn how for the Active Directory GPOs. So just go to the GPO installation how to, and you will see how to do it. So everything will be, there's a help for it. Fine. Next thing is, yeah, you want to use the scope of management policy for adding systems, agents out there. Detect and add new computers, install agents and notify me, or just notify me. This will constantly check within the targets you define here for new computers. All right, there is another button, delete inactive computers. I always recommend having a notification if a computer is removed from your Active Directory, and decide on your own later if you want to delete it or not. So, but you could do it automatically as well. The button I strongly recommend is notify me if a computer has not contacted the central server in the past. Yeah, 15 days. You can get more days or less days. I would recommend not extend more than 15 days, because there can always be an issue with a firewall or whatever prohibiting the agent contacting or communicating with the central server. So that system is online literally and working, this user, and but the system cannot be patched. So it is good to have a notification, and always you have your dashboards as well. But notification, set it up, and here, as we said, choose a domain for the synchronization, and here's an email address to add. So that's how to add the computers. And if you do have that remote offices here, it's easy to set up a remote office. You name it, you have it through distribution server, the communication, add that information from this distribution server from that Windows machine where you would like to add that distribution server component, or you could choose even direct communication. All right, and in order to have it more automated, let's say you have 10 different locations, remote offices you want to use, you can set up IP scopes. So that would mean that you set up different scopes, ranges for your remote office. and the agents will communicate automatically with that remote office. Let's say someone is traveling from Munich to Kassel, then the agent will recognize, that system will recognize, I am now in a new IP scope, IP range, so I'll get my patches through that Munich office and not that Kassel anymore. Fine. We've been in patches. What do we see? If an agent is out there, it's rolled out, it always gets proved through the against the vulnerability database. The vulnerability database is updated once a day automatically. You always can update it manually again. But take care about that, because if you update it manually, immediately after it will be a company-wide scan initiated on the devices. So every device will start a scan against the new updated vulnerability database. All right, once the scan has been done, all the systems will report if there's something missing, and it will be within that missing patches tab. You will see here the severity, critical, important. All those severities are coming and informations are coming directly from the vendors. It's nothing changed from ManageEngine or from our side. We do have bulletin ID, patch description, approval status. This is really important, the approval status. If a patch is approved, only if it is approved, then we can automatically push it to the clients out there. If it is not approved, like here, like not approved, let's make it red. That would mean it cannot be published automatically. It can only be published manually. We will see here the always even on which systems it is missing this patch. Is there already a rollout been done and is it failed? Yeah, that what we see here too. Then there's the platform, there's a reboot. Is it required or not from that patch? A patch uninstallation, is it supported or not? It has nothing to do with the willingness from the vulnerability manager plus if a patch cannot be undone. It is through the patch coming. All right, what else do we have? We have the ability to decline patches, single patches. Now that would be done like that. We select a specific group where we want to decline it. Give it a reason, please. You will forget later. And there is as well the ability to decline complete applications, add applications, or even computer families, where what you want to decline. And going back to the missing patches, I said we can change here approved, decline, not approved. We always can push a patch manually, even if it is not approved. So how will it be done? Install publish patches. This is the manual way. You just give it a name. Install patch or uninstall patch, it's done from the same dialog. You deploy it through a deployment policy. There is anytime at the earliest, let's say I want to have it right away and no reboot. You can see your details from the when and how, like I call it, from the deployment policies. You can see it here. Or you could choose deploying it into a self-service portal. It's a cool thing too, with some upgrades or some service packs you want to push to the clients. You could use the self-service portal, or even use the self-service portal if you want to publish something to service. All right, deployment, as I said, anytime at the earliest. And here, out from the dialog, patches, missing patches, we have already all the targets implemented. What else do we have? Configuration on failed targets. What should we do? Yeah, we can set up even more trials. That's that's a thing. When you install a patch or something on a client, this manually, and it will fail. What will you do? You will just reinstall it. You try it again, and if it still fails, what will you do? You just reboot the system and try it again. And the vulnerability manager in this case can do that automatically for you prior giving you a deployment failure. So if you choose to do the retries higher, you will know in the end all those retries has been done already. Fine, deploy immediately, and the patch is out there. So what else do we see here? We have some more informations with the bulletin ID. You have some more information about the patch. You will even have the download link. It is when I hover over it, you will see it down in the left corner. It is coming from the vendors directly. There is nothing hosted with ManageEngine. And the bulletin ID is linked as well to more further informations. Reboot required, not required, and even the supported languages can be found here. Fine. I will mark that as approved again. That's 2. Okay. So what else can we do? I want to have my life easier, and that would mean I want to do things automatically. So let's go into deployment and build up an automatic patch deployment. There are some already inside here, and what we see is green, everything fine, yellow, it's in the pipe, red, okay, gosh, I need to have a look what's wrong here. And you can go here, you can deployment window end it. Okay, so through the next deployment window it will be done. Automatic patch deployment. How will such a task will be done? Windows, Linux, we choose Windows, and let's build one together. Critical and important patches clients. We give it a description, Microsoft and third-party patches. So everything else is in the task name. So we choose critical and important patches in the Microsoft area. We can choose to patch everything or only specific applications or everything except set exceptions. Or the same we do is with third-party patches, critical and important, and we have even here the ability to have exceptions. Let's say a VPN channel software or a VPN application or a Citrix workspace or such things. You want to patch manually or in a separate deployment task. Antivirus updates and driver updates, we could choose here to automatically deploy. And here you again see only patches that are approved manually or test and approve will be deployed using automatic patch deployment task. And here you can deploy the patches after a certain amount of days from release or approval. We will go from approval 0 days. In the next section we do have choose deployment settings, deploy through the deployment policy or publish to self-service portal. Even the automatism can be set up in the self-service portal. Maybe on servers it would be cool if you want to publish those patches to the servers, and the technician for the server, responsible for that server, can install it out from the self-service portal. Apply deployment policy. We choose an deployment policy. I configured one to have a look how it looks like, and now we will create one together to see the whole dialog. This is the deployment policies we already implemented here. There are some standard templates, and you always can duplicate as a new template if you have already created one. Create. Let's have it. I already have it, so let's choose that name. I believe it will work. Yes, regular split. Or based on Patch Tuesday. That's the maintenance window. Let's select every week. Let's select every day except Saturday and Sunday. Let's give it a time frame, 11 till 14:30, and add schedule. Let's give it another schedule too for that night shifts or home office users, maybe not online in that time. So let's have a second time frame from 1700 to let's give it 2100. Okay, add more schedule. Download patches from the server to agent. Anytime agent contacts the server, that would mean that you spare some bandwidth. And yeah, anytime agent contacts the server, that's the refresh cycle. Every agent, based on his reboot time, boot time, will contact the server every 90 minutes on its own and ask if there is something new for him. So in that case, if there would be a patch for the afternoon or for tomorrow or next month, it will already be downloaded from the agent. Initiate deployment at, you can choose system startup, refresh cycle, or either of these, whichever happens earlier. We leave it like that. Save. Pre-deployment activities. We can choose to wake up the systems prior to the deployment. Cool thing, it's been done through the agent. You only need one agent within the particular network to send that magic packages. Pre-deployment reboot, you can initiate at 2, and custom scripts, you could choose to use custom scripts like maybe stop that services in this particular sequence. Pre-deployment reboot would be a cool thing if you have a service, maybe you have a maintenance window only once a month, and you want to get sure that the patches get installed. Just reboot the systems prior you deploy the patches. You don't have that cleanups before. Pre-deployment user notification. Yes, of course, you can notify your users, give it a text description, allow users to skip the deployment, force it after a certain amount of days, and show deployment progress on the client systems as well. We leave it. We do not notify. I'm really strict. Critical important patches. No notification and no allow skip. Post-deployment activities. If you do not do anything here, nothing will be done. So if you want to have a reboot, you implement it here, and yeah, post-reboot shutdown, force it, delay reboot, and give the users a description and postpone intervals and such things. You can choose even a shutdown forcefully or delay as well, like the reboot. And there is another button, restart and then shutdown. Cool thing, if you wake up the systems for a deployment, you want to shut them down later, and do a reboot prior to the shutdown to perform all the after reboot installation tasks from from maybe Windows feature packs and such things. All right, that's how to build a deployment policy. Cancel, we already have one. So back to that automatic deployment task for patches. Choosing deployment settings, we have been here, we've chosen the deployment policy. In the next step, you choose the target. Either remote office, either work group, I don't have one here, so this is why it's not shown, or a domain. And always you can filter, provide some more details on remote office site, Active Directory organizational units or Active Directory groups, computers, and a lot of other things. Exclude target. Same way like you include targets. I would recommend building a custom group with all the systems you maybe want to have within the vulnerability manager, but you don't want them to get anything automatically. So maintain only this group, custom group, never touch those systems group or something, and exclude it in those automatizations, and you will be fine. You can exclude how many filters you want, and you can add how many targets you want. The next step, that's a big question. That's the question on, are you lonely? Do you feel lonely? If you do so, set up all those buttons for notifications, so you won't get lonely anymore. Give it an email, you will have a lot to answer. But we even can leave it, because I always say we have our dashboard. And that's the cool thing with an automatism like that, patching all the systems automatically. It's in the morning I can enjoy my cup of cappuccino and just go after the failures. So we have an automatic patch deployment setup. Now there's the other thing, that testing and approving. We want to do that automatically too, testing. So you could add here targets. It's a group with key users. Set up always key users, those users working with that applications you want to patch, and especially give those users into this group would always every day call you or write you an email. There's a click more and something is different now. These are the important users. Those users give you feedback you need. All right, the same way what we did in the automation prior, you can choose here with Microsoft, give everything inside or not, and choose exceptions. Third party, you can do the same. Choose exceptions here too, for maybe some Oracle, Java, or Citrix Workspace again or something. Driver updates could be tested automatically too. And then we have the deployment criteria. If you want to postpone or wait from when we release certain days, you can do so even in the test group. Deployment policy. Again, the deployment policy, choose one, build one separately, or use the same deployment policy you already have. And enable notifications if you do want. And here, automatically approve tested patches after a certain amount of days, let's say after 3 days. And that's really restrictive. So if you have just, let's say, 1,000 clients within that task group, 1,000 clients online, 1,000 clients should get that patch, and only one system has a deployment failure, this patch will never be automatically approved. It is really restrictive. So I'm doing like that, building it up, create. You will have a test and approve sequence as well. So what have we been seeing? We saw already how you could publish a patch manually. We've seen how to build an automatically deployment task within here. We have seen how to test and approve automatically systems. So next we want to see is some more vulnerabilities. There are there's the threats part. Software vulnerabilities with informations, and you can group them in a different way. There are detected CVEs. You can sort them through the scores and have more informations, as we already saw. You can choose everywhere. You can choose even more columns. All right, then we do have the zero-day vulnerabilities. With fixes if available, we see on which systems it is affected. System misconfigurations. We can publish, we see a description, and we can sort it, group it in a different way. We have high-risk software within here. End of life. What's expired already on which systems and what will expire next on what system. Peer-to-peer, remote desktop sharing, even those informations we do have here. Web server misconfigurations is nothing I can do something. So within the web server misconfigurations, I only see a resolution, but I see a description and a resolution. So even this is possible to group it, to go through every group. Port audit. There is a list. Which port is with which type open on which instance. Yeah, of course, I agree. This report on its own, semi-helpful, but when we choose detailed view, then it is really helpful, because I do not need manually to go onto those systems. I see already here which software is using this port, so I know the reason why it is open. That's about the threat part. Then we do have the network devices part. This is only available within the Vulnerability Manager Plus standalone, not within the Endpoint Central Security Edition. Okay. All the others is available even in the Security Edition of Endpoint Central and or the Endpoint Security add-on. You can have an add to every Endpoint Central version, but network devices is an exception. So what we do have here is, we can add devices, discover them, and we can map credentials to the I would need to build up some credentials, device credentials. Yeah, this is SNMP, SSH. You can select them, and then you can build up device groups. I've made one to have a look, so how it looked like, to see it. It looks like that. And we have the ability to have a vulnerability overview, vulnerable devices, and we can upload and install patches even to those systems, switches and routers. And there is the threat section, zero-day vulnerabilities, even in that network devices. Next part is the compliances. Compliances. You may need an audit for all those certifications. So ManageEngine has done a great job by implementing these templates for Linux, Windows servers and clients. These are the CIS benchmarks you can group and run against your systems. So I'm gonna show how this looks like if we in another system where we already mapped some of the audits. So this is another installation of Vulnerability Manager Plus where we have mapped already a few. Let's start with Windows. There are some Windows compliance reports with the compliance, 25% or 19%. This is the CIS Google Chrome benchmark. We see the phages, we see a summary, a rationale, and a how to fix. It is not only there is a phage or an error, we even see a how to fix. And the rationale is cool because I'm getting explained why should it be good to set it up. And there are a lot of other reports. Let's have a look about a Linux system. A CIS benchmark, there has been running one for the server level. And even here we have the phages and a summary, a rationale, and a how to fix. And every single of those benchmarks is exportable. So you can export it as a PDF or Excel. And there is another, let's say, Windows report. Enterprise, password policy, failure, summary, rationale, and a how to fix. So this is a way how to harden all your systems. There is a system guarantee policy too. So you might want specific groups of systems get checked if there is a vulnerability with a CVSS value greater than 8. So there's no audit, or you want to audit only, or you want to quarantine these systems and block all network access, or get it only block intranet in range or something. And having an alert and a notification set up. So this is helpful too for proactively immediately get notified if there is something out of compliance. Fine, last thing is the reporting. Of course, there are a lot of reports. We do have executive reports here, what we could schedule and download. We do have predefined reports. It is always a report. You can schedule. You can set up filters. You can choose more columns or remove columns. Then we do have the scheduled reports. Easy done. Let's say you want to have a report about the missing patches or installed patches. Installed patches. Get the install date and set the last 7 days, for example. So you can choose to automatically receive a PDF report with all the installed patches the last 7 days, for example. And here is a scheduler where you can set it up automatically. And if you're a fan of query reports, here you are. Insert queries, SQL statements, and you can build up your own reports. So last thing I want to show you is if you're within the patches, you might want to know what's the first steps to do. So that is that rocket sign. So you have a how-to with always linked, and there are useful references as well. Thank you for watching and have fun testing Vulnerability Manager Plus. See you!